All right, welcome to the show today. Today I'm joined by Cole Kramer, bear guide out of Kodiak, Alaska. Is that right?
Yes,
Can I
sir.
call you professional bear guide? What
Um,
gets you the title of professional?
I mean, there's
Just
technically a
you get paid to do
license,
it?
but no one really looks at me as very professional. So come on,
Yeah,
just
back
just
in
bear
town.
guide.
Bear guide. Okay, Cole the bear guide. We'll go with that. Now back in town for the holidays, and appreciate that you could
Yeah.
sit down with me here. Your Instagram page is one that is great to follow, so that'd be fun to sit down and chat with you.
Well, it's cool. There's so much old history here. Obviously, growing up here in Pratt, but just in this very building, that sitting right across from these walls and there at the club or the Uptown Cafe as kids, and it's pretty cool. Coming back here, seeing what you've done for yourself and in the restaurants, and then now you got your cool podcast. So
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
stoked to be on it.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So give us the story, the backstory before we. I'm not much of a hunter, and you know that. So I
yep,
don't know how much of the details of hunting we're going to get into here.
yeah,
But I'm curious how a kid from Pratt ends up as a
yep.
world-renowned bear guide in Kodiak, Alaska. So how'd that story start?
Well, so a little backstory. My dad and his sister, which is Judy Starrett, she married Robin Starrett. So Judy Kramer, she was Judy Kramer, married Robin Starrett. Robin Starrett, my uncle Robin, was a Coast Guard pilot. And so they moved up there in like 93 and they invited us up, I think in 1994 to come visit. And I think I was like 11 at the time. And so my brother and I went up there to Kodiak, and you can imagine a kid from Pratt, Kansas, who loves to fish, catching like bluegill, you know, crappie, small bass, catfish, and you go up there to Alaska and you're just catching salmon nonstop every cast, and learning how to fly fish. I mean, it was just, 7 to 10 pound fish almost every cast. It just blew me away. 11-year-old just in heaven. And so I just knew when I got back here, like, oh my gosh, I want to go back so bad. And that really helped me, I think, as a kid. I always had work ethic, like wanting to do chores and make money, whether it's shoveling driveways or mowing lawns. But like when I came back and I said, well, I want to go back up there, my parents were like, well, it costs a lot of money. I'm like, well, how much? Well, it costs this amount. Like, okay, well, all my birthday, all my Christmas gifts, I just wanted money and put it towards a ticket to go back up to
So
Alaska.
you knew from a early age that
Yep.
this is what I want to do because
Well, I at least knew I wanted to go back up and fish more.
yeah,
Right. I wanted to be up there, hang out with my uncle Robin. He was like one of my most favorite uncles, and so it was a few years later, and my uncle Robin, he got stationed over in Cape Cod, and so they moved from Kodiak to Cape Cod. They were only there for a few months, and he got transferred back. And he asked me, "Hey, I'm pulling through Kansas in the summer. Do you want to ride with me back up to Alaska?" So I got to drive, all the way up from Kansas, all the way through Canada, Alaska, then on the ferry down to Kodiak. So we did that, and that was an awesome 2-week trip. Spending time camping, and we actually watched Austin Powers was pretty new at that time, and we watched Austin Powers every day. We had a little TV in the Suburban. We watched it the whole way up there when we weren't counting animals on the road.
right.
But so that was an awesome trip. But then when I got up there, I got to spend another week again up there and fishing, and did a little hunting with my uncle. And at that point, I think I was 13 at that point. I knew, like, the switch flipped, and I was thinking, this is where I want to be. Like, I want to move up here.
You weren't a big from a
I
hunting
was
family here in
no,
Pratt, were you?
no.
I mean,
My
your
dad doesn't hunt. No, no. I mean, earliest memories, I think I was 4. I remember watching my dad walk across the backyard with some pheasants with some guys from church. And from age 4, I always thought I want to do that. I think, that's, it's, I want to go and get birds out there in
right.
the field, which to me was, okay, I want to be like my dad, and it's weird when you think about kids at a certain age that pick up something. That is what started me to want to become a hunter at that age. Is I think I was 4 years old watching him go across the yard with some pheasants, and but yeah, after that, actually, it's legitimately my sister's fault why my dad doesn't hunt anymore. He sold his guns and the freaking bass boat. He had a legit sparkly blue bass boat that we used to go fishing when my sister was born. He sold everything, to remodel the house and freaking build her a stinking room. And I mean,
Thanks,
I'm
sister.
getting over it, but
Yeah,
I'm still
it sounds like it.
it's still a little rusty of a relationship. But no, so yeah, my dad never hunted after that. It was just like, so I've never, like, still technically to this day, never gone out hunting with my dad.
Really?
He's just not into it.
Has
which
he
is
ever
fine.
been up there on a hunt with you?
No, nope. He's never been on a hunt up there. He's got some eye issues, so that's really put a damper on it
Yeah.
and whatnot. But no, and he obviously very supportive of me, really enjoys talking about it, seeing the photos, showing the photos off, all that stuff, But he's just, he's like, I have zero desire to go sit on the side of a mountain and get blasted with
Yeah.
rain and snow and be freezing cold. So I don't blame him. Not everyone's into that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, like, it was that early stage. It really, really got me wanting to be more in the outdoors. And I got into hunting probably at age 12 up in Kansas City. So my parents split up like around that 10, 11 time period. And when I got up there to Kansas City, I met some folks through church, and they introduced me to an old timer there who was like really big time into, reloading ammunition and hunting and all that stuff. So he became like my best buddy. And for some reason, like, ever since I was a little kid, I always attached to adults. Like, I like to play, but I was either building forts, doing adventurous things, or just hanging around an adult listening. I could just sit there and just pay attention. I like going down to Don's Cerviteria with my grandpa and my dad and just having coffee with those guys and sitting there. So I always enjoyed that. So when I met this, new mentor in my life, Glenn, I just attached to him and just wanted to be around him, soaking up all that information. And that's when I started deer hunting and turkey hunting and all that stuff up there, basically just over on the Missouri side of the border. But so that's what really, really got me into the whole hunting aspect. And then my senior year of high school, I went back up to Alaska to go with my uncle to do another deer hunt. And actually, Brian Kirby went with me on that.
Oh,
sure, wearing T&W Meat shirt.
Yeah,
but,
that's right. Rep Kirby.
Yeah, T&W Meat.
Yep.
Unofficial sponsor.
That's right.
Hey, pay up, Brian.
Yeah, you owe me for that, Brian.
Yeah,
Let's go.
God dang it, send him a bill. But yeah, Brian went with me up there, and I actually, my aunt lined me up an interview with a guide and outfitter, an old school guide and outfitter. She said, "Hey, man, you can go talk to this guy, and he can answer your questions, just like Tate coming in here." But I could sit down with this guy, and I asked him, all the questions, and he kind of told me and kind of opened up my eyes. Okay, what really needs to be done, And so that was really, really helpful. Of which I was already going to move up there. I knew I was going to move up there. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
in
where to
terms of, like,
start.
where do I even start this thing? I just had my own imaginary thoughts of how I'm going to start becoming a guide, but turns out there's a lot of regulations, right? So he kind of told me the ropes of that, and he said, just give me a call if you're move up. And so that was in November. I left a week after high school. My uncle and I drove up. He bought a truck down here, put my truck on a trailer, all my belongings. We drove up the Alcan once again, made it over to Alaska, over to Kodiak Island, and got off the ferry, called the outfitter, said, "Hey, I'm here." He goes, "Oh, okay.
What
Wow,
now?
okay. Well, good for you." Then he'd call me back like an hour later. "Hey, I'm going to go out to my camp this week, like tomorrow for a week, and I've got a water line to dig, an outhouse hole, and we got to paint some cabins." He's like, "I won't pay you, but if you want to go, you can, we can chat more, and you can get out there, see some bears, and do some fly fishing." I was like, "Heck yeah." So I went out there with him and met his son, who's like one of my best buddies now. And, once again, told me the ropes. And while we were out there, he's like, we don't really have room for you in a camp. Like, we don't need any packers or new guides, but we know a couple guys. And so they turned me on to a couple outfitters there. And one of them I still work with today, pushing 20 years later. So, yeah, I was very, very fortunate to get in with the right people. And, and it's all about your work ethic. And if you work hard, your doors are going to open for you. People will want you to come work for them. They will, once they know what kind of person you are, they'll seek you out, and your doors will open for you. So I was pretty fortunate, just as long as you keep your nose to the grindstone, you'll, just like with anything in life,
Yeah.
right? You work hard, things will go well for you.
Yeah. So you get up there, 2002?
Yeah,
Fresh out of high school,
yep,
get up there to
2002.
Alaska.
Yep.
How much difference was the was your expectations versus the realization of once you got up there and thought, this isn't as glamorous as I thought it might be? Or did you have those type of expectations?
I don't know. I think I was so
You were just so eager to get up there. And
I was just so, at that point in time, this was when I moved up there, I'd been up 3 other times. And so I kind of had an idea, and, but yeah, I just went with the flow. I was just open to anything, and I never said, I wasn't like a real cautious person of like, ooh, I don't know if I should go do that. It's one thing if it was not a good idea, like, oh, this guy doesn't have a good reputation, I shouldn't be going with this outfitter. It was just more so if a guy called me and wanted me to come do something. Yep. I said yes to anything that was related to, my guide career per se, to becoming a packer, assistant guide, a bear guide, anything that was out there that I could do, I would go do it. And just wanted to soak up as much information as I could. An old outfitter there, this guy Dick Rohr, he was the one who took the time to talk with me when I was a senior in high school. He turned me on and was the same guy who took me out to his camp, and to go dig out house holes and water lines.
Yeah.
And he told me about a school that I could go to, like a little clinic for a week. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll go. It was like, didn't really have the $750, but I borrowed the money from my aunt and uncle, and they were like, yeah, we'll pay for it. Just go up there, just pay us back. And so went up there by Fairbanks and spent a week with this old time, really old school guide who had some really good knowledge of bears and Dall sheep. And so I spent a week out there with him, and he just explained a lot of the different characteristics of what to look for between male and female bears and trophy Dall sheep, and and just lots of different things. Learn how to flesh out hides, and he brought out some old nasty cow hides that were just like grimy and smelly in the summertime, and we had to flesh these hides out and learn how to take care of things. And but yeah, it was really educational, and it's just crazy to think it's already flown by that fast. But yeah, just try to jump on as much education as I could, right out of the gate.
Yeah. Was there ever a point in those first couple years where you got up there and you thought, man, okay, I don't know if I want to make a career out of this. This isn't quite what I thought it was going to be. Or is there that you talked a little bit about it with
that is a very, very
you referenced somebody earlier. You thought I can kind of see a burnout phase in people.
Oh yeah.
Where they don't know if this is quite for them once they get up and do it. Did you ever have that moment or?
There were definitely some time periods where I would go work for some people off the island, and it was a pretty rough experience. And you'd kind of be like, oh man, I don't know if these 15-mile, 20-mile hike ends with heavy loads, and just with it was always like a bad experience with the outfitter. Or,
was that valuable though, knowing that, okay, when I do become an outfitter, I'm not going to do it like that?
Exactly. Oh, there was a lot of those. There was a lot of that learning experiences, but then there's a lot of great ones too. But, I mean, I can't think of like, yeah, I remember the brick wall. It was right here. But like I was saying earlier, there was a moment in time, like 5 years into it, 6 years, where it was more so, okay, I've been up here for this long. Do I need to change paths, or do I want to continue? And I already kind of knew that I needed to continue, but you need to have those talks with yourself, when you're doing something. I think instead of being stuck in a rut, no matter what you're doing, you can sit there and kind of take stock in what's going on. Okay, is this good or not? What I'm doing, is this worthwhile or not? Is this something that is going to, if I keep going down this path, is this going to be a sustainable business for me? Is this something that's going to be worthwhile? And, and at that point, I knew it was going to be yes, but I just had to make sure, kind of looking around, and okay. And it was just like the doors kept opening for me.
Right.
And it just kind of flowed naturally for me to be able to talk with hunters and enjoy getting to know people out in the field. And because that's what ultimately, when these people come up on an adventure with you, it's got to be the full package. I mean, you are legitimately with them 100% of the time, for the most part. For what I do, a very small group, backpack or base camp stuff, like, I'm basically the adult babysitter at all times. And, you're either in the tent with them or they got their own tent. But if from morning, you're waking up early, making them coffee, breakfast, getting lunches ready, taking them out there. You got to answer all their billion questions, but then also you kind of want to know about them most of the time. So you got to be able to talk with
Right.
people and then also take care of things when when the shit hits the fan. You got to be able to deal with it in the middle of the night when your camp's blowing away.
Yeah.
You got several feet of snow building up on you, or bears coming in jacking around with things, or guys wounding bears. You got to go look for them in the brush, and they're back there kind of not wanting to help out, which you don't necessarily want a guy in the bush with you when you got a wounded bear in there. But it's just one of those things where you do find you figure out, is this really what I want to do or not? But for me, I always really enjoyed it, still enjoy it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely the trying times, and like we were saying earlier, there's the business ends of
I was going to
things.
ask you about that before.
It's
I want to
always
get to some of those good stories about
Yeah.
the bears and the brush, but you had mentioned business a little bit ago and wanted to touch back on that. How hard was it transitioning from, to be making it your own business,
Yeah.
where it's like, man, I'm a
Well-
good guide. I've been through all these phases. I've got all my
Right.
certifications, but now I've got to be a businessman also.
Yeah, I was really fortunate, still am fortunate, to have some good business mentors that I could talk to, and they weren't like the one guy, Paul Shervanack, I work with, and he's like my neighbor. I can just call Paul and ask him any question. Whereas like some people are, if one of your cooks or someone call, hey, so if I was going to open up my own, diner, Cody. So how do some people may not take that so well.
Right.
And some people are like, wait, are you trying to come after my business? But I was always really fortunate to where Paul always explained stuff to me. Hey, pay attention to this kind of paperwork here, because, when you run your own business, he always talked to me in a manner of that when I run my own business. That's how he always came across to me. When he explained stuff. And I remember a few different times I would be at other outfits and I would ask a question to them relating to business about some manner. And there was a couple times where I had guys kind of do a double take and look at
Like,
me
why
funny,
are you
like,
asking?
why are you asking me that? I was like, I was just asking because I
Is
have to deal with
the
this.
outfitting business up there pretty competitive?
Very competitive.
Very
Yeah.
competitive.
But I mean, it's not like you can just go anywhere and guide. You have to be licensed and qualified for each individual area. Kind of like going to different counties here in Kansas. Okay, you have to be qualified for each individual county for the most part. And so it's just kind of one of those deals where I was very fortunate to have those mentors where I could ask questions. And it was more so the toughest thing was like passing our registered guide exam. It's a pretty extensive test. And so when I passed that exam, that was like me graduating college. It
Yeah.
was 5 years, almost 6 years into me being a guide. And so when I passed it, that was the biggest accomplishment of my life, pretty much, when I got the pass grade. Like,
Is that
holy
something you
crap.
got to recertify every so often?
No, you actually, as long as you keep current, and keep up with your CPR first aid stuff, you're good to go. But if you let it lapse, for such amount of time, then, you could lose it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no, but it's just mainly time in the field, certain amount of clients. If like the young man that was just here, if you were to go just start today, going up to Alaska, you'd have 5 years into it before you're even eligible to be. That's the fastest you can become a registered guide outfitter. So, and then once you've achieved that time, then you need to, the registered guide outfitter you've worked for, they turn in paperwork for you, like a request. Okay, he's ready. We approve of him. He can take. We are requesting that he becomes a registered guide, and you have to submit like a video showing that you know how to skin animals, do all the initial cuts, flushing, which is taking off all the fat and meat, and trimming it down to where you can salt the hides and keep the hides from spoiling in the field, because there's a lot of times where we're taking care of animals and a guy's out there for 2 weeks, so you got to make sure that their capes and stuff don't spoil or the meat doesn't spoil. So knowing how to do all that, and then trophy judging and sexing animals like bears that it's pretty hard to tell a male and a female. Same thing with mountain goats and other types of animals that so you have to sit before like 3 different panels of judges, and then explain anything they want to ask you, and then also taking a I don't know what the questions are now, how many there are, but let's just say a 300 question exam or something about all the statutes and regulations of the state and running safe camps and things of that nature. So when it was all said and done, and I passed
pretty
that, I was
arduous
like,
process.
for me, because
Yeah.
I'm a pretty small-minded guy that I was just like wanted to get out of school, and I definitely, that was the most I'd ever studied, probably by far. But it's amazing, when you put your mind to something and you
Right.
actually want to learn something. That I did actually kind of amaze myself a little, like, wow, I can actually learn this.
Yeah.
Like, I just hated school, for the most part. So
How hard is it doing the business side of things, being when you're gone 2-3 weeks
Yeah.
at a time,
Yeah.
with no communication with anybody? I mean, you get back to the office and you're like,
Well,
oh, great, here goes the emails.
Oh yeah, emails, and for the most part, like my old phone message was, hey, it's hunting season somewhere, so I'll be in and out between January till December
Okay.
31st. So be patient.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of understands it's, hey, we're gone. I just kind of tell people, be patient. I'll get back to you at some point. But most of our trips are scheduled out, a year to 2, sometimes 3 years out.
Wow.
So once a guy gets in our radar of when he's going to be coming, we're prepping him. And I have like a Garmin InReach, which is like basically your text device that you can link up with your phone and use through a satellite.
Okay.
And
I was going to
so
ask you about
I can
that.
text guys.
Kind of that,
Yeah.
that prep with, a client books a hunt. How much
Yep.
communication is there pre-hunt?
Oh yeah.
Do you even have,
Yeah.
do you have like a training regimen? Like, hey guys, this is, I'd get in shape. If you're not, this is what
Yeah. Well, that's what we try to do.
because
and-
your hunts are about as extreme as they get.
Yeah, they're for what I like to do and I expect out of my guys. I like to have a good adventure. It's not all about just walking out there and whacking an animal. I want guys to learn a lot and come away from that hunt, us being good buddies and pals, and learning something about each other, and them having and learning something about themselves a lot of times. If a guy's a brand new mountain hunter, Doug Simon's in my goat draw right now, and I guarantee Doug's going to learn something out there.
Good luck, Doug.
Yeah, he's going to come back a couple less pounds, I can tell you that much. But sorry, Doug. Anyways, there's a ton of information we try to get guys. I do take a lot of very qualified mountain hunters, guys that have been there and done that. I've got guys who 75 years old that have been hunting in the mountains for pretty much 50 years, or more. And it's really awesome getting in the field with some of those old timers. But then I still take very, very green hunters out there that are brand new to it, but they want to mountain hunt. They want to try mountain hunting. Maybe they bird hunted and deer hunted, but they want to come to the mountains. And as long as they do that training, physically, and get the appropriate gear, things will go well. They will go well as long as your mind is open to learning. Okay?
Are most of the clients that you have, are they, one time, are they repeat clients, or is what you do more of a once in a lifetime deal that it's not something that someone's going to go do every 2-3 years?
Oh, it all depends. I've got guys, I got a guy up out of Kansas City, Mike Hagan. He's been with me on, I don't know, 5 or 6 different hunts all over different places, from Mexico to several places in Alaska. And so, because I book hunters, I have a small booking agency that I book hunters anywhere they want to go in the world pretty much. So if it's not necessarily in Alaska, I may take them, other parts of the world for their hunts that I can set up for them. So
can you guide in other parts of the world, or you have connections with other guys?
No, it's mainly I line up everything, and
kind of the travel
I'll travel
agent.
with them. I'll travel with them a lot of times if they want you there, or want to pay the excess amount to have you there to make sure things go smoothly. Because sometimes when you're overseas, it's it can be a little interesting. So to make sure that the guys are working hard for you, and the communication, so I can be the bad guy and they're the good guy, and I make sure that things go smoothly. So, but I enjoy the traveling and stuff, so I like taking guys out and doing that stuff. But yeah, we'll get back to whatever you just asked. Sorry, I got.
Oh no, it was just that about repeat customers,
Yeah.
or one-offs. So it's like, I just want to do this once in my life, and
Yeah,
I've
and there
done
are
it, and-
definitely some of those guys, and then there's definitely some of those guys that come in and like, what, I don't really click with Cole.
Have you had
Oh,
clients
yeah,
where you're
for
just like,
sure.
yeah, I'm not going to do that one again,
Well, yeah, there's definitely guys.
and
that
you're
don't
stuck out
like-
there with them for
Yeah,
weeks at
I
a
mean,
time.
You got to be able to you got to be able to navigate those situations. You have to. That's part of a guide. You've got to be able to push people and navigate those weird situations. Sometimes you get, with people because you don't always click perfectly with everyone out there, and you have to kind of bend your personality to these people, because it can be pretty awkward at times with some of these guys out there. The things you learn about them and whatnot. Mostly is all positive.
Yeah.
But you just got to learn, not everyone's the same.
Right.
And you got to adapt, and especially when you get the new hunters with you, I could literally just got off a hunt with one of my, old time clients who, is a big smart ass, and me and him are going back and forth at each other. And here comes this new guy. And then you start in on them and you're like, oh, wait, this is not the same guy.
Yeah. They don't take it as well. They're just different personality.
Yeah. And I have to like, hey man, don't take things too personal here. Okay. Just
What's the memorable hunts now? Is your most memorable hunt one you've guided or one you've been on yourself as the client? Man. Or do you have one? I'm sure you've got them. I mean, you've got. I mean, you've gotten world record bears. You've climbed the Himalayas in Nepal.
Boy, some of my most memorable hunts are with some of my clients. I've done some really, really fun, amazing, adventurous things with some of these clients that, man, things turn out. You just, like I say, you push them super hard and things happen out there that it's just super, it just amazes you sometimes. Like, man, I can't believe that worked. Or I can't believe that we pushed that hard and climbed that hard and fast and we got up there on the ridgeline to make it happen. Like, that was awesome. And so it's a mixture, Nepal was pretty hard to beat. I mean, that one to me, I've been in steeper, nastier places. Like Azerbaijan was pretty rough in the Caucasus Mountain ranges on the Russian border in Azerbaijan. That was extremely vertical mountains, cliffs. That was fairly dangerous. But Nepal was just a whole new realm of just altitude. Being up at 18,000 feet and pushing really hard and with the pack on is not something that's super easy. I found out. I'd never been. I mean, I went from zero, sea level up to, our camp was at I think 12,500 or 13,000, and then got my ram, my blue sheep, up at pushing right at 18,000 feet. And so
your buddy didn't fare so well on that trip, did he?
No, my buddy, Ben O'Brien, he's from, he used to work at Yeti. Now he works for Meat Eater, but he was sick going over with a really bad sinus cold. And so he was congested, and then the travel jacked him up, just the congestion, flying over. And then we all got a bout of food poisoning. And I was the first one to get that, second morning in, I started explosive vomiting and other things. And luckily for me, it passed through me pretty quickly. But there was other guys that it stayed in them for a few days. And,
I can't imagine putting that on top of
altitude and everything else. And it just really jacked them up. And then, but yeah, Ben, on top of all that, when we were moving to another camp, because it took us 5 days of moving just to get to where the sheep were. And I remember when it hit him, he was a mile back from me on the trail with we had like 26 Sherpas on the trail with us and porters. And just remember looking, like trying to find where he was on the trail. And I hours later, I'm looking back there and finally see him, and someone's just walking with him the whole time. And he's just, all these illusions and whatnot are popping up, and things he's saying he's seeing and talking to things that aren't there.
Wow.
And telling people, yeah, he was on Rogan's podcast and was talking about his experience and seeing like babies on the trail.
I think I listened
all
to
this
that
stuff.
One. And there's a video too, if anybody wants to watch it. What's that? The video that Yeti did on that.
It's on Yeti Presents. It's called a hunt or the hunt
Yeah.
or something of that nature. I
I'll
don't know.
try to put a link in it. I can't remember what the name of it.
But yeah, no, that was a cool experience just because of people, the culture, and all that stuff. Because that's why I really like traveling. It's not like I have this list of animals I need to go collect. That's
Right.
not. It's not what I do. I like the adventures and the culture, and a kid from small town Pratt. There's a lot of people here that don't travel. There's a lot of people that don't travel regardless anywhere.
Right.
But for me, hunting has opened up kind of this new realm of getting out there and seeing the world and exploring and learning other people's thoughts and how they view us Americans. And so it's really helped me kind of understand people better and kind of be a little more lenient with other people who may not think the same as you.
Right.
And
A little
not
more
just-
culture.
Yep. Get out of your little bubble, little echo chamber, But yeah, there's just been a lot of cool things. You asked me some of my most memorable. I mean, yeah, when we got my buddy Chris Kamack happened to be with me when we got the world record archery bear, brown bear, and we were on the Alaska Peninsula hunting. And like Chris is one of my legitimate best friends, and we had just taken some of his clients out bear hunting, and we got them done, and we got dropped off in another camp. And we had 8 days to hunt, and here he is, one of my best friends, and now he gets to hunt with the remaining days left. And I thought, man, this is going to be fun hanging out. This is going to be really cool. And, when we get up there on our spotting knob and spots this really big bear, I mean, it's a really big bear, but you got to understand, like, you can look at a bear and say, okay, I think he's a 9 or 10 foot type of bear, meaning 10 foot square. And with more experience, whatnot, you can kind of gauge these types of animals. Okay, yeah, they don't have antlers like a deer where you could say, oh, they're 150 inch or 170 inch. You don't know because they measure bears by their skulls, so you don't know what that bone is. Okay,
Yeah.
it's underneath the skin. You don't know how big it is. I just knew it was a nice looking bear. My buddy was bow hunting, and I said, hey, let's give it a go. And when we went over there, and got about 150 yards from this bear. It was with a sow. It was during the mating season. And they got up and started moving away from us. And I asked my friend Chris, because I had my rifle there, I said, man, that's a really nice looking bear. And he's a taxidermist, world-renowned taxidermist. And I said, man, that's a beautiful bear. I hate to see him get away. It's up to you. Do you think you maybe want to take him with a rifle? Because most guys in their right minds, seeing a bear like that walking away up the hill at 200 yards, are like, give me the gun. And so Chris said, man, I really want to try to get him with a bow. And I was like, all right. I said, the only way this could happen is if I can call to them, because they're going up and over the mountain. It's brushy and we can't sneak up on them. They'll see us coming and hear us, as soon as we start moving. And he's like, yeah, I'd rather you try calling to him, because I really would rather get one with my bow. I said, all right. I said, I have it on video. Let the record show Chris Kamack declines to shoot his bear with a rifle. And because a lot of times, when you start calling to them, they've got a female with them. They're just going to take her and go, just like how an elk would take his cow, a bull elk would take his cow, and off they go. So I started calling to them, and you can do a predator call, or you can start roaring and kind of get pretty upset. You're like, there's another big bear down there, and you start breaking limbs and roaring at him and stuff. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a good way to find out if he's a dominant bear, because if he's a dominant bear, it'll probably work. But if he's not, they'll run off. And so found out pretty quickly that he was a dominant bear, and he started coming down the mountain to us. And I told him right away, I said, well, he's going to come down here. And Chris like, you think so? I said, oh yeah, he's pretty upset, because he was going over top of big bushes and smashing them and getting up on top of tree on these bushes and breaking them down to try to show his dominance. And when you hear that and you see it happening, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, and of course, most guys holding the bow, they start like rethinking things, like, oh man, I don't know if this is the right call.
Yeah, this better be a good shot.
Yeah. So, but he ended up coming in, and Chris made a really good 14-yard shot on him, and we were able to, we gave him a little bit of time, and we were able to retrieve him in the brush a couple hundred yards away. So it was pretty cool deal. After we were taking photos and skinning this bear out, It was about 2:30 in the morning. Um, all of a sudden, I heard a little crack behind me. We were just about done skinning, and I heard a little limb pop. And I kind of look up at the guys with my headlamp, and they look up at me with the headlamp, and they're like, "Bear!" And the sow, the female bear, had come around on us, and it was raining, so we couldn't hear her come in. Well, I threw some limbs behind me, and she hit one of those limbs and popped it. And she was 4 yards behind me coming in.
Holy shit.
And so they're like, "Bear, bear, bear." And if you would have seen me jump over this carcass that was in front of me, this is a 1,500-pound blob of carcass. I mean, I'm pretty sure I probably jumped about 8 feet in the air to get over to my gun. And, with all the ruckus and them yelling, and, I turned around and there she was, but she stopped and was backing off, and I didn't want to shoot her, it'd be a bad deal. So, we got her out of there and she took off, but the whole rest of the night, we could just hear her out there popping her jaws and breaking limbs. Apparently she was pretty pissed. We shot her boyfriend. So,
oh my gosh.
But the thing is about that, we get back to camp that about 6:30 in the morning. We get picked up that day. Later on, we get flown back. We flew back over to Kodiak. My buddy wanted to hang out in Kodiak, so we get back, and it must have been a few days later, working on the hide, and I thought, I wouldn't mind measuring that skull, and see what it is. You use calipers and stuff. And so I go over and I measure the skull, and I thought, well, that can't be right. So I measured again. I thought, oh, well, man. So I called my buddy, the outfitter I work with sometimes, and I said, hey, come over here. He measured it. He's like, whoa. And he measured a few more times, and Chris, my buddy, is like, hey, what's going on over there? What are you guys doing? I said, well, this is pretty interesting. What? Hey, right now you're sitting at your skull's a world record. He's like, what? No way. I mean, we didn't even know. We didn't even care. We're just having a good time, like with your buddies, And yeah, so they, Pope and Young, who keeps the records for the archery bearers and whatnot, they, we had it measured 60 days later at the drying period, and it was still at that number one. And so they did an emergency panel for a world record, and they flew out, and this must have been, I don't know, probably 80, 90 days later. It was a while later, but they came out, measured it, and said, congratulations, you got the world record.
No kidding.
So my buddy Chris got that. So that was, and that'd be easily, a lot of people's, the culmination of their guiding career, and all that stuff, or I say that, I don't know, that's arrogant, but like that was really cool. It's one of the cooler things, but there's just been a lot of really fun, cool hunts. That one just was it that,
yeah, the fact it was your
awesome,
buddy,
but it was my buddy.
Yeah.
it's like any of you guys, we just happen to be, we're having a great time.
Yeah.
We love hunting together,
Yeah.
being around each other. And oh, by the way, you
Yeah.
just got the world record with your friend. Like, man, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's the one you haven't done yet that's on your bucket list? What's the hunt that you're like, man, as many as I've done, there's still this one that I'd love to do?
There's a ton of hunts out there, but like I say, I really enjoy the adventurous ones. Man, we just wrapped up a big hunt in Africa earlier this year. We went to South Africa with a group of guys and got in on a lot of Cape buffalo hunting and some other stuff. And it was really overwhelming with a lot of the stuff we got to do. But shooting Cape buffalo is pretty hard to beat when you're using double rifles and whatnot. I got to shoot a buffalo with a 600 nitro, which was pretty interesting. And that was a little bit of a kicker. But no, I really enjoy the mountain hunts, a lot. I'd really like to go over to Kyrgyzstan, maybe Tajikistan. I'd love to go to Pakistan. Pakistan's like big time, amazing mountain hunting. It's just sometimes there's, rough things going on over there, believe it or not. And I've had a couple different opportunities, but they just kind of fell through the cracks to go to Pakistan. It's one of the coolest mountain hunting places you can go in the Hindu Kush over there. And just to see that mountain range, and a lot of the people there are great people. But who knows when that'll happen or if it'll ever happen. But and my thing is, I like to, even if it's something that I can't afford to go do or something like that, some of the stuff's fairly expensive, but I just like going with people, and that's why I'll line up hunts for clients, and if they want me to come along, that's it's a lot of fun just to go along. and be a part of it. We were supposed to go to Greenland this past year with a group from Yeti, and they well, due to COVID they canceled it, but
Yeah.
that's to go see Greenland would be really awesome. It's such a beautiful, in photos I've seen, it's a beautiful looking country. So I'd really like to go, see that. But I don't know, I've been a lot of places, and there's still a ton of places to go,
Right.
and I just, it's crazy because, there's a lot of beautiful mountain ranges, but, I'm the kind of guy here, I was out pheasant hunting with Doug Simon the other day, and I mean, just walking the CRP fields with me and just seeing the fields and the birds and the dogs, like, man, it's beautiful to me. I mean, it's these people drive through Kansas, like, Kansas is so ugly. Yeah, it's flat. Like, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love coming back here, and I guess beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I've enjoyed about everywhere I've gone. Just all the trees look a little different in different places. The mountains look a little different. The dirt, the rocks, everything is slightly different in all these places. And the people, and so it's to me just the culture, and it's all pretty interesting, I guess. It's mainly makes it a lot of fun when you're around good people, and if everyone's getting along and things of that nature, but it's really hard. I don't know. I was kind of at a loss after that Nepal trip. That was an accomplishment and a thing that I never thought I'd be able to go do. And so the fact that I was able to go do it, I feel very blessed. And that was like kind of was at a bit of a loss after that. I was like, man, now what am I going to do?
Right. Hey, before we wrap up, and speaking of good people, you just raised a bunch of money for a lot of good people. You mind talking about that for a little bit?
Yeah, sure. No, I did like a little fundraiser. Black Rifle Coffee, they've got, they started a nonprofit, the BRCC fund, and I think they're on Instagram, like at BRCC Gives or what. I believe that's what their Instagram deal is. But regardless, so basically Black Rifle Coffee, and I could be butchering this a little bit, but they donate a lot of money to different veteran organizations and charities and whatnot, and they started their own fundraising campaign. Oh, it must be a couple years ago or a year ago, because they kind of felt like, man, we're giving all this money to these other organizations, but we know what to do. We know what to take these people to do. I was able to go last year and jump in on a veterans adaptive athlete archery shoot, which basically is wounded warrior guys coming out with amputated legs and arms, and we were teaching them all how to shoot bows. And then only like probably 2 or 3 out of 25 people roughly that showed up knew how to shoot a bow. And so that was really cool to be able to get on the mountain with them and teach them. We were out like in Utah at the Olympic Training Center there for archery, and to teach them the initial steps. Then we took them up on the mountain the next day to go shoot. And that was really, really cool. And so I saw directly where these guys like to put their funds in taking care of people. And, they don't baby them. They get them out there and make them feel like they're still very worthful and have to push hard and do things, and because these guys don't want to be babied. They want to feel like they're doing something. So anyways, I was able to get a bunch of shirts, and I just decided, hey, I wouldn't mind doing a fundraiser for these guys. And because Evan Hafer, the owner of Black Rifle, has become a really good friend of mine. Took him and the other owners bear hunting this spring, and I told him I wanted to get some shirts, send me a bill, and the guy ends up sending me this big box of shirts, and I said, hey, how much does this cost? And he's, nothing, just sell them, make some money for yourself. I don't know, sell them to your clients. I was like, I'm not going to benefit off of you giving me a bunch of these shirts. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm going to do. So anyways, I end up selling them for $30 a piece, and donating all the money. And I had some clients step up also to donate directly to BRCC. And it was pretty cool. We were able to raise just over $25,000 for them in
That's awesome.
Like a couple of weeks. So it was it blew me away. I was like, first goal was like, hey, if I could do $5,000 with the amount of shirts I had, I thought, I'll do maybe $3,000 for shirts, and I'll donate myself a couple $1,000. And And then it just kind of real quickly got past that. And then I had, like one client who hunted with me. He goes, "Hey, here, where do I send the money?" And I said, "I'll just send it here." And boom, here, sent me like $2,000. I'm like, "Whoa, what's this?" He's like, "Yeah, just donate to the cause." And I was like, "Whoa, wow,
That's pretty neat.
I mean, like there was multiple times I had guys who I taught, to shoot bows, reach out and were wanting to buy shirts. It's like, no, I'll send you a shirt, man. They're like, "Oh, dude, are you kidding me? I know where this money goes. You guys help me out." And so it was really cool. Like I was actually brought to tears multiple times, like from guys calling me and wanting to donate like fair amount of money and or just guys who, guys who lost their legs and arms like in combat, just being like, "Nope, we want to help support this. We know where it's going." So it was super cool, like really eye opening, and actually just got to see Mrs. Blaze yesterday came by, Paula, and she donated to it, and that was really, really
nice.
cool. Yeah, she's like, "Hey, I have money for it." I was like, "Oh, well, and she's like, Nope, I want to help donate." And I appreciate you guys getting some shirts. I think your brother cut you off on that. But.
Yeah, I did. He did. He got there first.
Yeah.
That was my Christmas present.
Yeah,
I said,
that's
"Dang,
cool.
I thought I ordered some." He said, "I told him not to charge you. I already bought some."
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I was really blown away. And yeah, thanks for asking about that. But they're a great group of guys. Yeah, no, they're doing great things. And, it feels good. It made me feel really, it kind of rejuvenated me a little bit dealing with society, because there was a lot of great people reaching out, wanting to do something good. And man, and when you're donating your time or money, because not everyone can donate a lot of money, but just your time, and there's, when there's some people that reached out that were, donating money. And I'm like, man, that for that person, that's a lot of money. Whether it be $30 or $60 or however much it is, not everyone's created equal. So it's pretty cool. And hearing the stories from people, it was really nice to just to have that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted you to touch on that because it was a cool deal. It was fun to see, the good that comes from social media.
Yeah.
Cause you don't see it too often or not often enough.
No. And yeah. So yeah, just encourage everyone to get out there and do something good for your community or, anything that you have interest in.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right.
no, I appreciate you having me on, Cody.
I appreciate it. I don't think I got anything else for you unless you got anything to fire away at
Now
me.
wait a second. I thought we were supposed to find out who was going to
Oh,
win.
that is true. Who wins in a grizzly bear match between a grizzly bear and Scott Simon? I was told to ask that.
Scott reminds me of just a big grazing bull on the side of the road. I mean, Scott's tough. But I just don't know how aggressive he is. And bears are real aggressive. So I'm afraid that Scott Simon is taken down.
Well, I wouldn't expect a different answer. I'd have been really disappointed if it was different than that.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh, that's all right. All right, Cole. Appreciate you coming in, buddy. And always good to see you back in town.
All right.
Stay safe.
Yep.
All right.